Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sahar Farooq. On behalf of AFAQ online learning platform, I welcome all of you to this video lesson for New Sun series Science Grade 4 Term 1 Unit 2. This video lesson is designed for students, teachers as well as parents. But before starting this lesson, I would like to share why AFAQ is different and unique. As you know, planning is very important before doing any task. You have the book, but how students are going to finish the book in a year, or how teachers are going to teach the book. This has been solved by AFAQ. AFAQ provides you support material in form of academic calendar, suggested timetable and DLPs. Now what AFAQ academic calendar is? AFAQ has divided the whole year into 3 terms, and each term is divided into 2 periodic units. So the whole year is divided into 6 periodic units. Let's start Unit 2. Our Unit 2 falls in Term 1, Periodic Unit 2, Week 1 to 3, and it will be covered in 4 days of Week 3. Yes, the name of our Unit 2 is Ecosystems, and we are going to cover 11 SLOs in this unit. So students, Term 1, Unit 2, Week 1, we are going to cover 2 SLOs in this week. First SLO will be covered in 4 days and second SLO will be covered in 1 day. The SLO explain biotic and abiotic factors and their linkages will be covered in Term 1, Unit 2, Week 1, Day 1. Students, look at this picture. What can you find in this picture? Just give answer to your teachers. As you can see here, you can see some boys, girls, a blackboard, wall charts, tables and different things in this picture. What are these things? These things form your environment. Everything that is present in your surrounding forms your environment. Environment has 2 main components, living and non-living things. Living things and non-living things combinedly form environment. As you can see here, some living things like plants, animals, bacteria, and some non-living things like water, soil, light, air, and minerals. They form your environment. It's activity time now. Now you have to list some living and non-living things in your surroundings. Just list them in your notebook and show it to your teachers. Okay, moving to the next day, we are going to cover the same SLO in Day 2 of Week 1, Unit 2, Term 1. But before starting the lesson, I would ask you some questions. Can you live without water? Or what is the biggest source of energy? Can plants grow without soil? Or can you see things in the dark? Obviously, you cannot live without water. And the biggest source of energy is the sun. Plants cannot grow without soil, and you cannot see things without light. So, light, temperature, soil, air, water, what are these things? These things are present in your surrounding and they form your environment. These are non-living things. So, what are abiotic components? Non-living components of an environment are called abiotic components. Abiotic components include water, air, light, temperature and soil. These components have great importance. If you want to know more about them, read your book. Okay students, I hope you have read the information about abiotic components in the book. Now here is a worksheet. You need to fill the information about these abiotic components and write them in the worksheet. Just go and fill this worksheet and show it to your parents and teachers. Moving towards Day 3 of Week 1, Unit 2, Term 1. We are going to cover the same SLO in this DLP. Students, you have learned about abiotic components. Now we will learn what are biotic components. The living components of an environment are called biotic components. Biotic components are of 3 types: producers, consumers and decomposers. As you can see here in this picture you can see some producers, consumers and decomposers. Now we will learn what are these components. Producers. Producers are those organisms that can prepare their own food. Plants are producers because in the presence of sunlight, they take carbon dioxide from air and water from soil and make their own food. So all living beings depends on plants for their food. That's why they are called producers. Consumers. Consumers are those organisms that cannot prepare their own food. They depend on plants for their food. On the basis of foods, consumers are of three types: herbivores, carnivores and omnivores. Herbivores are those animals that eat directly plants like sheep, rabbit, cow, giraffe, zebras. These are all herbivores. Carnivores are the animals that eat other animals and obtain their food from them, like shark, frog, lion, tiger are all carnivores. And omnivores are those animals that eat both plants as well as animals, like eagle and gorilla are omnivores. Students, now here is a worksheet. Look at the picture, identify its consumer group and write that in the box. You have to look the pictures, identify the animal and you have to write to which consumer group it belongs. Look at this. This is the picture of frog. And what frogs eat? Frogs eat insects. So it eats other animals, so you can say frog is a carnivore. But rabbit eats carrots and carrot is a plant. So rabbit eats plant. It is a herbivore. Now you have to look other pictures, identify these animals and their consumer group and write in the boxes. Quickly solve this worksheet and show it to your teachers. It's activity time again. On your book, page number 30, an activity is given. Here you have to write 3 examples of each of the following. In the activity, herbivore, omnivore and carnivores are mentioned. You have to give 3 examples of each consumer group and write them here in the given blanks. Solve this activity and show it to your teachers. Now we are moving to day 4 of week 1, unit 2, term 1. And we are going to cover the same SLO, explain biotic and abiotic factors and their linkages in this DLP. Students, we were learning about consumers. Now we will see different types of consumers. Consumers are of 3 types: primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers. Primary consumers are those consumers that get food directly from producers. What are producers? Producers are plants. So you can say that primary consumers are also called herbivores. Secondary consumers get food from primary consumers. They eat those animals that get food directly from plants. And the tertiary consumers are those consumers that get food from secondary consumers. The next group of biotic components is decomposers. Decomposers are those organisms that get food from dead or decaying matter of animals and plants. They release nutrients back to the environment, and their examples include fungi and bacteria. Moving towards the day 5 of week 1, unit 2, term 1, we are going to cover one SLO in this DLP. The topic we are going to cover in this DLP is food chain. Students, you have learned about producers, consumers and decomposers. But these all organisms are connected with each other. The organisms are connected with each other in the form of chain, and that chain is called food chain. Energy is transferred in the form of food from one organism to another organism in the food chain. Food chain always starts with the producer and it ends with a decomposer. Now look at this food chain. It starts from grass, the producers. Grass is eaten by an insect, which is a primary consumer. Insect is eaten by a rat, which is a secondary consumer. Rat is eaten by a raccoon, which is a tertiary consumer. And when the raccoon dies, it decomposes, and it is decomposed by microorganisms. And this food chain ends at this level. Now you have a worksheet. What you have to do in this worksheet is you have to draw 2 different food chains here and also identify primary, secondary and tertiary consumers in the following food chains. Here 3 food chains are given. You have to identify primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers in these food chains, and you have to write them in the boxes given here. Now you have to solve this worksheet, show it to your teachers and come back. So students, now we are moving towards our week 2. We are going to cover 5 SLOs in this week. 1 SLO will be covered in day 1, 1 SLO will be covered in day 2 and 3 SLOs will be covered in day 3, 4 and 5. So, the day 1 of week 2 of unit 2 term 1, we are going to cover 1 SLO in this DLP. Students, you have learned about food chain. I hope you have understand all the concept of food chain. Now I will tell you why food chain is important. Every organism in the food chain is very important because it maintains the balance in an ecosystem. If we omit any organism in the food chain, what will happen? It will break the chain and will disturb the environment. Look at this picture. Grass is eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by frogs and frogs are eaten by snakes. If we omit grasshopper from here, frog will not get food. What will they eat? So, frog will die. And when frog will die, the snake will not get their food. So, it will affect snakes as well. If we omit grasshopper, it will also affect frogs as well as snakes. And in this way, it will affect the whole ecosystem. It's activity time, students. Look at your book page number 31. An activity is given on this page. Arrange these organisms to make a food chain. Here some organisms are shown. You have to arrange them to make a food chain. You have to arrange from producers to consumers to decomposers. And on page number 36, another activity is given in which you have to construct a model of a food chain by pasting pictures of animals and plants from a desert ecosystem. Explain with itself how a food chain works. You have to paste the pictures of animals and plants from desert ecosystem and you have to make a chain, food chain, and then you have to explain how that food chain works. Okay, quickly do these activities and show it to your teachers and parents. Moving towards the day 2 of week 2, unit 2, term 1, we are going to cover 1 SLO in this DLP. The next topic is predator-prey relationship. The predator-prey relationship is called predation. In predation, one organism kill or hunt other organism. The organism that kill or hunt other organism is called predator, and the organism that is being hunted is called prey. If you look at this picture, a leopard is chasing a boar. So what is predator in this picture? Yes, it is leopard and boar is a prey. If you look at this picture, an eagle is catching a fish. So what is predator in this? Yes, eagle is the predator and fish is prey in this picture. Okay students, now open your book page number 37. An activity is given there. Read the statement, search the internet and find 5 examples of the prey-predator relationship from different ecosystems. You have to search the internet and find examples of predation in different ecosystems. Get pictures of these animals and paste them in your science journal. You have to collect the pictures and paste them in the science journal. Share your findings and explain to your teachers and classmates. You have to solve this activity and show this to your teachers and classmates. Now a worksheet is given with the DLP about this concept. Identify predators and prey in the following food chains. Here some food chains are shown in this worksheet. You have to identify the predators and prey in these food chains and you have to write them in these columns. So solve this worksheet and show it to your teachers and parents. Now we will move to the day 3 of week 2, unit 2, term 1. We are going to cover 3 SLOs in this DLP. Before starting our next topic, I would like to ask you some questions. Do animals live at all places on earth? Obviously no. Can you find a zebra in desert? Can you find a zebra in desert? No, you cannot find a zebra in a desert. Why penguins cannot live in hot areas? Penguins are found in polar regions. Why they cannot live in hot areas? Think about it. Because they have a fat layer in their bodies. They cannot survive in hot environment. Can you name some animals found in deserts? Think. Yes, a camel lives in a desert or a snake lives in a desert. Find some other animals and tell names to your parents and teachers. Ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? A community where living organisms interact with their physical environment is called an ecosystem. Living organisms interact with environment through nutrient cycles and flow of energy. And what is the main source of energy? The sun. The sun is the major source of energy in an ecosystem. Now, what are types of ecosystems? You can find different ecosystems on this planet Earth, like aquatic, desert, grasslands, forest and polar ecosystems. Now we will learn one by one about these ecosystems. Aquatic ecosystems. Our 70% of Earth is covered with water. So, aquatic ecosystems are of two types, freshwater ecosystem and marine ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem includes all the ponds, rivers and streams ecosystems, and marine ecosystem includes seas and oceans ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem. About 3% of water is freshwater. Fresh water doesn't contain high contents of the salt. It is home to large number of plants and animals. Animals like frog, alligators, snails and plant like lilies and lotuses are found in freshwater. Marine ecosystem. About 2/3 of the earth is covered with oceans and seas. Marine water is that water that contains high content of the salt. Animals that can withstand high salt content are found in this ecosystem. Plants like seaweed, sea grasses and corals are found here. Now moving towards the day 4 of week 2, unit 2, term 1, we are going to cover the same SLOs in this DLP. Students, you have learned about aquatic ecosystems. Now we will learn about desert ecosystem. What are deserts? Deserts are areas with lots of sands and very little rainfall. Deserts are usually very hot during the day and very cold during the night. Animals like camels and plant like cactuses are found in the desert ecosystem. Moving towards the grassland ecosystems. What are grasslands? Grasslands are the lands with lots of grasses. These are the areas with more rainfall than deserts but less rainfall than the forest. These are used as pasteurizing lands. Animals like zebras, kangaroos and cheetahs are found here. And the plants like cornflowers, sunflowers and acacia are found in grassland ecosystem. Okay. The day 5 of week 2, unit 2, term 1, we are going to cover 3 SLOs in this DLP. The next ecosystem is forest ecosystem. Forests are areas with large trees and lots of vegetation. They release a large amount of oxygen and clean our environment. A great variety of animals are found in forests such as lions, tigers, monkeys and lots of birds varieties are found in forests. With cutting of forest, these animals lost their homes. Okay, another ecosystem is polar ecosystem. Polar areas are the areas that are found at north and south poles. North pole is in Arctic region and south pole is in Antarctica. These are the coldest regions of the world. Animals like penguins and polar bear are found here. The bodies of these animals are covered with thick layer of fat which protect them from harsh environment, and you cannot find any plant there. Students, you have learned about different ecosystems. Now you have to fill the information about these ecosystems and show it to your teachers. Now we will move towards week 3 of unit 2, term 1. We are going to cover 4 SLOs in this week. Moving towards the day 1 of week 3, unit 2, term 1, we are going to cover 2 SLOs in this DLP. Students, you have learned about different ecosystems, but you must know that a balance is very much important in an ecosystem. If you disturb that balance, the whole ecosystem will be destroyed. Each living organism in an ecosystem play its role in balancing that ecosystem. So the slightest disturbance in that ecosystem can destroy the whole ecosystem. That's why a healthy ecosystem requires a delicate balance. Now open your book page number 35. Here an activity is given. You have to read the statement. Select some pictures of biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. And that should be a balanced ecosystem. You have to select the pictures of biotic as well as abiotic components of an ecosystem. Place them on a chart, then remove one of the biotic or abiotic component. Discuss its impact on the ecosystem with the class. Now you have to paste all the components on the chart. Now you have to remove that one of those biotic or abiotic component and then describe what impact will it have on that ecosystem and discuss it with the class. Moving towards the day 2 of week 3, unit 2, term 1. We are going to cover one SLO in this DLP. Students, many human activities are disturbing the ecosystems. One of those is urbanization. And what an urbanization is? Urbanization is increase in number of people in cities. And why the number of people in cities is increasing day by day? Because people from villages move towards the cities for better living. But increase in people in the cities increases pollution and deforestation. What is pollution? Pollution is addition of any harmful substance into the environment. And how these harmful substances are entering in the environment? They are entering through air, water and land. And how it affects the ecosystem? It affects different levels of food chain adversely and affects the whole ecosystem. Okay, now we will move towards the day 3 of week 3, unit 2 and term 1, and we are going to cover 2 SLOs in this DLP. In this DLP, we will learn what is deforestation. Deforestation is the cutting of trees, and what is its effect on the ecosystem? Deforestation results in loss of wildlife, habitat destruction, climate change and loss of plant species. It disturbs the whole food chain. Urbanization, pollution and deforestation are affecting the ecosystem adversely. But we need to preserve our ecosystem. What can we do to preserve our ecosystem? We need to follow the 3 R's: reduce, reuse and recycle to conserve our natural environment. We should volunteer for cleanups in our areas. We should spread awareness about the importance of abiotic factors of our environment and how their excessive use can harm our environment. We should save our environment. We should conserve water. We should shop wisely, minimize the use of plastic and always carry a reusable shopping bag. Use energy efficient light bulbs. We should plant more trees and discourage deforestation. We should not dump waste directly into water bodies or on land, and we should use public transport instead of personal vehicles. By doing all these activities, we can preserve our ecosystem. Now, we will move towards the day 4 of week 3, unit 2, term 1, and we are going to solve the exercise of this unit in this DLP. Students, open your book page number 39. Here, work it out is given. You have to solve this work it out. You need to write down possible biotic and abiotic components in the following ecosystems. Here the picture of 3 ecosystems are given. You have to write the biotic components here and abiotic components here. And in the next part, you have to mention the names of each level of organisms in the given food chain. A food chain is shown here. You have to write the names of levels, like which one is producer, which one is primary consumer, secondary consumer or decomposer. Now solve this work it out and show it to your teachers. Now move to the next page. On page 40 and 41, an exercise is given of unit 2. Now you have to read the statements of each question and solve those questions. Question A is choose the correct options. Here some MCQs are given. You have to choose the correct option and circle that option. Number 1 is which of the following is a biotic component of an ecosystem? Soil, water, bacteria and air. Which one is biotic component? Yes, the correct answer is C, bacteria. In the similar manner, you have to solve the other 4 MCQs. In question B, you have to write true or false in the given boxes. First one is, an ecosystem refers to a place where organisms live. Is it true or false? Yes, it is true. Move to the next question. The question C is, match the ecosystems in column A with their descriptions in column B. In column A, ecosystem names are given, and in column B, their descriptions are given. You have to match each ecosystem with its description. And the question D is, answer the following questions briefly. Some questions are given here, you have to give the answers. On the next page 42, question A is given, you have to answer the following questions in detail. You have learned about all the concepts, now you have to give their answers. And a project is given. It's about build an ecosystem in a bottle. Here the materials which are required to build an ecosystem in the bottle are given, and the detailed procedure is also shown. You have to build an ecosystem and show it to your teachers. Students, I hope you have understood all the topics I have taught you in this video lesson. Now you have to revise all these topics so that when there will be an assessment, you will be able to answer those questions. I will meet you in the next video. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Bye bye.